the most important thing is the research. So I'm positive you've heard this before, but it's worth re-mentioning just how important the research is. So if we were to make a pyramid here of the most important elements, the very base that's going to be research. This is critical because everything else builds on top of the research. Now, here's the thing that people may or may not talk about outside of like Eugene Schwartz and the A-listers, but here's the thing. Research. You have your avatar, which is pretty basic. This is like, when you say like you've got a 40-year-old woman who wants her energy back, or something like that, or a 50-year-old man who wants to have enough to retire. Just something like that. This is the general idea that most people give you, but it's also going to include other things that are just as important. So, you know what? Here, we'll stick to one thought thread at a time. So when it comes to researching them, you need to know what are their lives like, what keeps them up at night, how do they speak, how do they see the world, and what are their problems. The main distinction between what keeps them up at night and what are their problems is the stuff that keeps them up at night tends to be very urgent, very long term. The what are their problems, they tend to be much more minor. So things that you can relate to them on, but that I'm not necessarily sure you should use as a main pain point. Like the what keeps them up at night might be like, oh shit, how am I going to pay the bills next month? Versus like, what are their problems? It might be like feeling really uncomfortable about spending the extra dollar to get like the bigger bag of food or something. So the problems are still problems, but they're things you can mention just to connect with the reader more. The what keeps them up at night is more like the bleeding neck kind of thing you want to make sure you're going to promise to solve somehow in your copy. So there's obviously more to researching an avatar, but these are some of the big points. And if I have to crank something out in the day, like research and everything in the entire sales letter, this is usually the stuff I'll look for.